Thank you very much, Stefano, for a wonderful presentation. With this, we'll go to health technology regulation in Mexico. So over to you, Lorena.
Thank you very much. In my part, I'm going to try to tell you a little bit of our regulatory system in Mexico and talk a little bit of my experience in that area. So please, next. In Mexico, we have a lot of challenges. Even if we have general healthcare law that provides all our regulatory statements for medical devices, for medicines, and all the health issues in general, we have regulations and agreements. We've been trying to work out to harmonize all our regulations with the international standards, but we have an ongoing work to be done. Right now, we just have 3 regulatory national standards that I'll talk about later. And one of the main problems that I see is that basically there's very low engagement from clinical engineers in the development and changes of this laws and these regulations. Here in Mexico, mainly COFEPRIS and the Ministry of Health are composed by professionals in the chemistry division. Because it's more focused in drugs, medicines, etc. From a couple of years now, we've been getting involved more and more, the clinical engineers, biomedical engineers, as it's called here in Mexico. And we've been gaining a little bit of that part. And because it's we have the knowledge and we can really participate in this part. In usually our national standards, what happens is COFEPRIS and the Ministry of Health makes the proposal of changes every 5 years. And in that proposal, after it's written, then we gather a whole of experts to see if the proposal is correct, if we should add different things. And basically, we've been looking a lot of things to harmonize and look to the IMDRF information, the information developed by Europe, United States, etc., to try to work out some, mainly try to have the same things and it make regulation a little bit easier. Next. Basically, what we have, it's in the regulatory, we tried to manage all the part in the life cycle of the medical device. As Stefano said, we don't include very much the management part. We also have the manufacturer and distributor controls. They have to get be on a list of manufacturers, distributors, to be able to manage all the sales and to market the products. We have certification of good manufacturing practice, all the controls that here in Mexico is called the registro sanitario, that's the marketing authorization. And we also have a law for a normal obligatory standard for post-market surveillance that we see in post-market surveillance. We see it as a whole, not just after it's sold and put in the market, but we see it from the beginning of the concept of, or the designer that has to take controls of what we call technovigilance or vigilance of the technology. And we've been trying to establish and help the manufacturers, the distributors, to promote this market surveillance system. It's very new here in Mexico. The law came out in 2013, yes, and it's been complicated to try to make it work, especially to make it known to the professionals and health professionals in hospitals that mainly would have all the problems and let the Ministry of Health know about them. Next. So as I told you, we basically have this official standards that are a must do for all the manufacturers, distributors, for the labeling, procurement, updating, post-market surveillance, etc. So the other ones, if we don't have something in the law, for example, standards for reviewing right now all the ventilators that came out in our country, we go to the international standards like the EC 60601. That would be the medical equipment review, and that specific, we look at the specific standards and international standards to try to make the developers comply with them. It was very difficult here in the pandemic because we actually haven't stopped, and we're considered still that we have to keep on a lot of the procedures that we have stated for this emergency. And in Mexico, we had to make some changes to have new developers bring out their products, in this case, ventilators, invasive ventilators, and make them understand because of the need to have safe and secure products. Most of them were universities that wanted to do a ventilator to have it work, and then make them understand that they did have to look at the standards, to look at what they needed to have, and to have them reviewed by the Ministry of Health. So those were some of the issues that we have. Next, please. In Mexico, right now, we based our medical devices in categories depending on. So when we talk about medical devices, we don't do a division between IVDs and medical devices. We have them all in the category of medical devices, and by themselves, we subdivide them in different products depending to be able to search the requirements that they need to provide the Ministry of Health. And we right now, before, and we still do have the class 1, 2, and 3 for the risk assessment of medical devices. And there's a new class that's the low risk class for trying to have the same 4 classes that we have in most of the countries outside of Mexico. Next. Okay, to obtain a permit of marketing authorization or registro sanitario here in Mexico, everybody has to decide what classification they have their medical device on and what category it goes under. And we have 3 main ways to get to get the registration. That would be the regular product when they are new. We don't have any information in the international information about the product. We have equivalency agreements, and that way we can make faster assessments. Next. Right now we have three equivalency agreements with Health Canada, FDA, and Japan, and that makes the information that we require in the Ministry of Health of COFEPRIS less rigorous, and we ask for a lot of information that it's already asked in other countries. So the process is a little bit faster and less complicated. Next. Right now, what we have, we have the equivalency agreements, the regular path and the low risk path, and our market authorization is for 5 years, and we do have the possibility to do the modifications to the registry or the renewal after every 5 years. Next. Okay, here I'd like to talk a little bit of the challenges that we've asked clinical engineers may have here in Mexico, and where we would like the cooperation and like in this forum with the clinical engineers. Next. What we basically see is that there's a lot of challenges for clinical engineers. Most here in Mexico see us as the engineers that are just in the hospital and not basically outside. And the knowledge that medical devices, even though that we know that medical devices is from Band-Aid to big equipment in the hospital, we really don't get involved in all the surgical material, for example. We don't see that we have to be there for stents or for instrumentation, etc. And with the post-market surveillance systems that we need to have as a country, it's a must that we get involved in not just telling the Ministry of Health what's happening with the product, if it's bad quality, if it's really having some issues. And it's not just the equipment, the active equipment that we have to get involved in. So that part in letting that change of set mind of getting involved in all the medical devices, it's important to know the classification, the risk classification. It's important. The national standards that are instated in our country, and that we can participate in the new changes that are going to be taking place in hopefully in this year, next year, to make them better. As Mexico, we're trying to, in COFEPRIS, to have more involvement in MDSAP as a country in general, and the development of new medical devices. Here, in the development of new medical devices, as I told you a little bit in the earlier slides, we had a big problem with the ventilators, with the gel alcohol, disinfectants, etc., and to make them understand all the new companies that came out. For example, before all the emergency, we had around 80 companies that did manufacture alcohol and gel and stuff like that. And afterwards, right now we have 190, something around there. So to be able to go to the manufacturers, see that they were complying with good manufacturing practices, everything got a little bit out of control. Right now, we're doing a lot better. They're understanding what the needs are, what the problems that we could have by having this products not regulated, and also for the big ventilators in general. So we have a lot of things as clinical engineers. We have a lot of things to do. Get more involved in regulatory requirements and more assessment in that, and pass it on to the new generations that usually don't get involved in regulations. It's one of our most effective places where we can actually make changes and all. Next. So basically, that's a very broad view of what we're doing here in Mexico, and we'll be glad to be helping out, and this type of forums helps out to see the differences in our countries and in all the clinical engineers around the world, and help out with all the experiences.